Bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Welcome, everybody, to today's show. As always, we are powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com, your one-stop shop for all things Lakers. Today's show is brought to you by Simple Contacts, eHarmony, and Hims. So make sure you check those out. We'll be talking about them a little bit later in this show. Lots to talk about today. The Lakers season is winding down. There are only 2 games left at this point. I can't believe the 2017-2018 season is already just about over. But here we are, and we're going to be heading into a very, very exciting offseason. Hannah Kulik is joining me, as always, to discuss some of the things going on in the world of the Los Angeles Lakers. Hannah, how are you doing?
I am good, Trevor. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that we only have a couple more games left of the season. Feels like it was just yesterday we were at Summer League. It's insane.
Right. Feels like just a few days ago that we were witnessing the Alex Caruso game in person in Las Vegas, and yet here we are. We're already making plans for next year's Summer League. I mean, it's coming up fast, and the Lakers season is somehow almost over. I mean, it really flew by, and I guess that's telling that because it's been kind of a fun season, even though the last week or so hasn't been all that exciting, but it's been overall a fun season, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think on the whole, it has been a really exciting season. There have been a lot of positives. I think, unfortunately, and I know we're going to get into this, but these injuries have really been frustrating. We're not really ending the season the way I had hoped, but you can't really do anything. These injury bugs, when they hit you hard. But on the whole, I think it definitely has been a very exciting season.
Yeah, it certainly has, especially if you step back and you take a look at the whole thing. It's been a better season than I think anyone expected for the Lakers, and for a number of different reasons. But you did mention that the last few weeks they've been dealing with the injury bug. They've got, as of right now, Isaiah Thomas, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, and Brandon Ingram are all sidelined, and those are some of the team's top players and some of their top young players, minus Isaiah Thomas. Has that kind of killed the momentum for this team heading into the offseason, do you think?
Yeah, I think this is really tough because after the excitement of how well the Lakers were playing kind of in the beginning of the year, and I know we touched on it, things were just really looking up for the Lakers and fans were really excited. And I think we were all kind of expecting a really big finish to the season so that everyone can go into the offseason really feeling good. Hopefully we can attract a few free agents this summer. But unfortunately, these injuries have been really frustrating. And, like you said, all of these injuries have been to our young guys. And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, our team is really about these 2 20-year-olds in Ingram and Lonzo, and they're both number 2 picks in the draft. And without these guys playing, it's just, I don't want to say it's, necessarily a wasted game, but it kind of is. When these 2 guys are missing so much time, it's definitely hard for this team to kind of gain some momentum and really get things moving forward. So it's definitely been really frustrating seeing these injuries, especially to end the season. I think we all really wanted to end this season on a positive note, like I said, so we could try to attract some of these free agents. But unfortunately, it just hasn't been the case.
Well, and I think part of it, too, is it feels like these guys are being held out for longer than they should. At least over the course of the season, we've seen Lonzo miss, way more time than we thought he would with a number of different injuries. right now he has a bruise to the back of his knee, and that's kept him out for the last week or so. Is that an issue? Do you think teams are going to, or free agents, I should say, are going to start looking at the Lakers and think, oh, man, these guys are injury prone?
It's something that I am a little bit concerned about, especially with Lonzo, because, with Ingram, I know he had the groin and then he got the concussion. You can't really help that because, when you get hit like that, you can't mess around with concussions and those kinds of things. But with Lonzo and these kind of his knee problems he's been having, it is a little bit concerning. It just seems like he has not really been able to consistently stay healthy. That is a little bit concerning to me moving forward. Again, this is his first year in the league, and it's a big jump playing from college to the NBA, and it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. So hopefully it's just a little bit of an adjustment period, and come this offseason, he'll be able to work and get stronger, which I think is a very important part for both him and Ingram. They really have to work on trying to get stronger, gaining some weight. But it has been a little concerning about Lonzo. I'm not going to lie to you, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean it's a concern, but at the same time, I have to wonder, and I don't know for sure because I haven't spoken to them, but I wonder how much of this is the Lakers, how much of it is just them trying to bubble wrap Lonzo and make sure that he doesn't pick up any other kind of injury. You know, if you're favoring one knee because it's bruised, the chances go up that you're going to injure some other body part, right? That you might hurt your other knee, you might hurt an ankle because you're moving differently. Your body isn't quite in sync. So I think that's part of the equation here too. They want him to get through the end of the season and still be healthy. But at this point, I have to wonder, are we even going to see these guys again? I mean, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, and Brandon Ingram, we know Isaiah Thomas is out. There's only 2 more opportunities to play. Luke Walton has said that he won't hold them out if they're healthy, but I've certainly got to put a big question mark on whether or not we even see any of these 3 guys in the final 2 games of the season.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's highly unlikely that any of these 3 guys come back. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, I would say maybe Kuzma just gets too frustrated if he's feeling better. Kuzma's the kind of guy where I think if he can play regardless of what anyone tells him, I feel like he's going to say, listen, I want to play. I just think that's his personality. But I think it's highly unlikely that we see any of these 3 guys come back. You know, like you said, we only have 2 more games. I just don't see it happening. I think they're going to want to keep them all out and just make sure, you know, they don't get re-injured or have anything more serious happen to them.
Yeah, you want these guys to be able to attack their off-season workouts, and that's where they're really going to grow, where young players are going to improve. I mean, we've seen guys improve over the course of the season. Brandon Ingram has been very consistent in his improvements ever since he came in as a rookie, month by month. He gets slowly better and better and better, but the off-season is where the work really gets put in and where they are going to really start to jump and develop new skills as a player. So that's going to be key for them, that they're actually healthy for the off season. Now, with all of this happening and with the Lakers kind of limping to the finish line here this season, we've talked about how important it is that they hit the summer with momentum, that they have some positive vibes going their way as we get ready for a huge free agency period for the Lakers. We know they're going to have a ton of cap space available. Paul George recently made some comments to Royce Young of ESPN, and this is what he said. We know he's going to be near the top or at the top of the Lakers targets this summer. It's going to be either him or LeBron James. One is, 1A and 1B. So here's what Paul George just said. He said, I could see myself being here. He's talking about Oklahoma City. I've been happy here. I'm happy with the organization. I'm happy with my teammates. You know our record is not what we want it to be, but I think I've enjoyed just learning and being around these guys. My answer is still the same. I'm not going to let playoffs or how we finish the season persuade or indicate where I'm going to go this offseason. I put everything into this, and again, I can definitely see myself here. Hannah, he's talking about whether or not the Thunder making the playoffs or finding success in the playoffs will have any bearing on the decision that he makes as a free agent this summer. What can we read into that statement from Paul George? Is that a good thing for the Lakers, a bad thing? What's your take?
I don't think it really bodes well for the Lakers, Trevor. Unfortunately, and I hate to say this because I really, really don't want this to be the case. I really like Paul George. I was really hoping we are going to be able to get him this summer, but I'm kind of starting to be one of those people who just thinks it's kind of unlikely that he's going to be coming to the Lakers. And there's kind of this little voice inside my head that says, the time for the Lakers to get Paul George was last summer when he was on the trading block. Obviously, Magic Johnson made a choice at the time that he didn't want to trade Ingram, and I completely agreed with him at the time. I don't want to part with Ingram. However, I think as this season has continued, I just think it's becoming highly unlikely that he's going to leave OKC, especially for, a team like the Lakers. It's going to kind of be hard for him to leave playing with Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony to come play with, this super young, inexperienced Lakers team. Not that this Lakers team is not going to be good in the future, but having Paul George just come in, I don't think, obviously that's not going to make us win the championship. It'll definitely vastly improve us, but it's not going to, bring championships back to LA. It's going to take something else. And I just don't see him leaving a team with Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony unless he just doesn't like playing with those guys, but I haven't seen anything that said that he doesn't. So I don't think he's going to leave, unfortunately. And also, history just shows us that after all the rumors and speculation, it's really unlikely for a star to leave their team in free agency. We're kind of lucky to see if one free agent a year, like one big free agent a year, changes their teams during free agency. Most of the time when these big guys, switch teams, it's due to a trade. So I'm not sure. I'm really, really hoping I'm wrong because I would love to see Paul George and just slide in for KCP. But just as the season has kind of progressed, I just don't know if it's just going to happen. I just don't know how it would be possible.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from on that, and I can certainly see Paul George sticking around. I mean, Russell Westbrook is a very, very good player. He can be a little bit shot happy sometimes. Same thing with Carmelo Anthony. I'm not that sold on Carmelo Anthony as an NBA player, at least as an NBA superstar anymore. I think he can still contribute and be a solid piece, but Paul George, his decision is essentially going to come down to, do I think that I can be that piece for the Lakers, that guy that can help push them over the top, or do they have other pieces coming in too? Are they going to be able to add, say, a LeBron James or DeMarcus Cousins or somebody like that? Plus the added benefit of being close to home, being nearby with family and all that. Those are things that he's going to have to weigh versus going to Oklahoma City. And, you would think that if the Thunder don't make the playoffs, which it looks like right now they're certainly going to, or if they say get just blasted in the first round and they wind up dropping out early, you would think that would have to have some sort of an impact on his thinking, because the Thunder have virtually no money left. I mean, even if they bring back Paul George, they are going to be way into the tax. It's going to be an ugly tax bill for their ownership. I don't even know if they're going to be willing to pay that. So it's going to be really hard for them to add other pieces to that. So that's going to be something that he has to consider. But here's the thing that popped into my head when I first read that statement. I thought, well, yeah, I mean, he kind of has to say that, right? Because if he says, yes, our success or failure in the playoffs is going to be a factor in my decision, then that just puts that much more pressure on his teammates to win, and that just gives reporters that many more questions to ask. Say Russell Westbrook goes out in game 1 of the NBA playoffs and shoots 5 for 25 on the night, right? Has a terrible game. He's going to get a question afterwards. Are you concerned about Paul George leaving now because you didn't have a good performance in this game? As a teammate, you don't want to do that. You don't want to put that on your team. That just adds pressure to the situation, whereas what he said tries to de-escalate it and make it sound like no matter what they do, it's not going to matter. I think it's going to matter. I think at some level it has to. He has to be thinking, man, if we can't do it, if we don't have the firepower and we don't really have enough money to add pieces, how are we ever going to contend with Golden State or Houston or these teams in the West that are the powerhouses? That's not to say the Lakers are ready to make that jump just yet, but maybe the Lakers have a better path forward because they've got the cap space, they've got the ability to make some moves and things like that. So maybe he sees some benefit there. Of course, that could just be wishful thinking on my part, but I don't know. It kind of came off to me as a statement that he has to make, and I'm doubting whether or not it's 100% true.
No, I agree with you that that's definitely a statement he has to say. I'm not going to expect him to come out and say, listen, if we don't make the playoffs, I'm leaving 100%, because he's a professional and professionals just don't say that. My thought process is just, okay, so if he leaves OKC, if the Lakers, let's say we just re-sign Randall, or we don't sign LeBron James or DeMarcus Cousins, we don't sign anyone. My worry is that he's just not going to think we have enough to really be a contender, especially in the Western Conference. Like I said earlier, I think Paul George obviously coming to the Lakers would make us much, much better, but I don't know if it's enough where we would be a very deep playoff team. I think we would obviously definitely make the playoffs, but I just don't know if it would really put us over the edge. Now, if we were able to sign DeMarcus Cousins or obviously LeBron James, I think he would be much more inclined. If we get LeBron James, I think he's coming. If we don't, if we're able to get DeMarcus Cousins or someone else who's still pretty good, then I think he's more inclined. But I think unless we are able to make another signing, I just don't know if he will want to come play for the Lakers with just what we have now. However, that being said, he is from LA. There's always that factor in there. And there's always the factor of, hey, listen, you come to LA, it's going to be all about you. You can be, our star player. You don't have to play with a team that's filled with other stars like Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony. It's going to be the Paul George show every night. So there is that factor. However, I don't know, Trevor. I'm just getting a little worried. I really, really hope I'm wrong, because I want to see Paul George come. And there's still a part of me that is definitely possible. I just get a little bit worried.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's going to be nervous time in July. We're going to be hanging off on every single word. We're going to be just waiting on pins and needles to find out what Paul George decides. Now, before we move on, last thing I have on this topic. Hannah, I know you watched The Bachelor.
Yes.
And it's my deal with my wife. If I watch that with her, then I get to watch all the basketball that I want. It's a nice trade-off there, right? We're compromising. That's how marriages work, right? I watch that with her, and then I get to watch all the basketball I want. So I watch it as well. And reading this quote, I couldn't help but think it sounds so much like what one of the bachelors or bachelorettes says to somebody right before they're about to kick them off the show. Like, I can see myself with you. Everything is great. Blah 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 blah. But just the chemistry isn't right, or something. Right? Do you see that?
I did not see it the first time, but now that you brought it up, oh my gosh, I feel like it's Ari breaking up with Lauren before he proposes to Becca. That is so funny. I could totally, you know what? Maybe we're right then. I'm hoping it's like a Bachelor situation, and he's just trying to let the other person or let OKC down easy. You're onto something.
Hey,
it's so funny.
I'm thinking if he ends up signing with the Lakers, I'm going to come back to this. And I'm going to say, see, the Bachelor told us that giving this kind of statement says you are going to say no and you're going to move on to somebody else. And I'm hoping that somebody else is the Lakers, but we'll see. Anyway, that's enough Bachelor talk before our listeners revolt against us, and rightfully so.
Okay, guys, so we are going to take a little break to talk about my new big recent discovery, and that is eHarmony. So chances are, if you've ever tried online dating, you've run into lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, and just random matches that just will never turn into dates. I know for me personally, I was always tentative to join an online dating site because I really just thought they were more about hookups than actually finding someone serious about a relationship. However, that was before I tried eHarmony. eHarmony is unlike many other dating sites. eHarmony takes steps that other dating sites just don't in order to find you a more compatible match. eHarmony uses years and years of science, data, and psychological research to send you the right matches. eHarmony brings compatible people together, and this is proven by the fact that they have helped over 1 million people find love. Right now, my listeners can get a free month with eHarmony when they sign up for a 3-month subscription. All you have to do is enter my code LAKERS at checkout. So stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. Sure, it can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're really ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's only one app that's built to bring you real love, and that's eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. And don't forget to enter my code LAKERS at checkout.
Last topic, real quick, before we move on to our fan questions. Mitch Kupchak was just hired on to be the GM and president of the Charlotte Hornets. Give me your quick take. Do you think he deserves this shot to run another NBA team after what happened with the Lakers?
Oh, Mitch Kupchak. Yeah, it's good to see Mitch get another opportunity, especially in North Carolina. He went to college in North Carolina, so he had, I think it's a little hard for Laker fans because we just seem to remember, the past few years with, the whole Steve Nash trade debacle all the way through the lovely Mozgov and Deng signings. But we have to remember he had a long 30-year career with the Lakers, and there was a lot of good moments with him there, kind of leading us. Obviously, I think it's a little harder to remember with the more recent moves, but we also have to remember we'll never know if he was fully responsible for some of these, rather questionable and, frustrating moves, or if it was more Jim Buss. But I think I'm happy for him. It's good to see him get another shot. What do you think, Trevor?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I like seeing him get another chance. Obviously, I would love it if he made up for his past mistakes and then, his first action with the Hornets was to trade for Luol Deng.
Right.
I think that would only be fair. It's only right. But I don't see him actually doing that. But he made some really nice moves for the Lakers over the years. I do think that they panicked a little bit, and that's when the whole Mozgov and Deng thing happened. And unfortunately, that's still hurting the team right now. But overall, Mitch did a solid job with the Lakers. I am glad to see him get another chance, and hopefully the lines of communication will be open in deals with the Lakers because I know Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka are going to be certainly active this summer. All right, let's get into some fan questions. We got a ton of fan questions. We're not going to get to all of them. I cut it down to just a few this week, so we don't run into like a 2-hour show or something. So let me. I'll kick things off here on this one. The first question was from @It's Kobe Bryant FC. So it's a solid username right there from Twitter. Says if Brook, meaning Brook Lopez, is not re-signed and Boogie Cousins is also not signed, who do you see the Lakers signing as the starting center next season? So who do they turn to? No Brook Lopez, no DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh man, this is a hard one. I don't even know if there's anyone like left that I can think of. I mean, and I don't think, unfortunately, I really like Zubats and I like Thomas Bryant, but we can't rely on those guys to be the only centers that we have. That is tough. I mean, I've kind of just have it in my head that if we don't sign Boogie or someone that we're just going to be able to re-sign Brook Lopez, but I guess you never know. I would have to think about this. I'm really hoping that's not the case, but I think Brook Lopez, it's likely that we'll be able to re-sign him for like a big 1-year deal if we're not able to get Boogie. But I just have no idea about this one. What do you think, Trevor?
Okay, I do have an idea here. I think I might even have it here. I think this is going to be the plan, and it's not a great plan, but I think this will be the plan. So if the Lakers can't get DeMarcus Cousins, the Lakers can't bring back Brook Lopez, and I think they'd be offering him a 1-year deal. I think the focus is still going to be to sign 1-year contracts, unless they can get somebody like ridiculously cheap that they can lock up long term on a team-friendly deal. But I think we're going to forget about DeAndre Jordan. We let him move on because he's going to want a 4-year deal, and the Lakers aren't going to want to make him one of their star signings. At least I don't think so. He's a terrible fit with Julius Randle, and they're going to instead go get Nerlens Noel. And Nerlens Noel is not a great fit with Julius Randle either, but I'm saying Nerlens Noel because Nerlens Noel has had such a terrible season with the Dallas Mavericks. He's shown some flashes of his old self, but he hasn't gotten the minutes he's wanted to. There's been problems between him and the organization. I think if anybody's going to sign a 1-year deal, kind of a prove-it type of contract, it's going to be him, and he's got some qualities that the Lakers will be looking for defensively, so I think he's the guy they would turn to. He is not a great fit with Randle because he doesn't spread the floor the way Brook Lopez does, but there's still some things that would make you believe that maybe he could be a solid piece in the future, and so yeah, that's the way I think they would go, is they would go after Noel. Who knows, maybe I'm totally wrong and they would try to find another shooter, but you know what? Big men who can step out and shoot the 3-ball do not grow on trees. They're extremely difficult to find. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that they're able to bring back Brook Lopez. But if they can't do that, they can't get Cousins, then I'm thinking that they end up turning to Noel.
That would be interesting, Trevor. And you know what? I'm not gonna knock you off because you've been right about a lot of things this year. You know, I never thought the Lakers were going to trade Nance, and you kind of predicted it, and you were spot on with that. So you could be right. That would be really interesting, though.
Never know. Could happen. And you know what? I bet that some people are already thinking too about Jahlil Okafor.
Oh yeah,
who's not really getting minutes with the Brooklyn Nets right now. And you know what? I actually wouldn't mind at least bringing him into camp and just giving him a shot. But he's again not the type of player the Lakers really need. But the point is that there's some guys out there they can go after if they don't end up getting Lopez, they don't end up getting DeMarcus Cousins. There are some other options, although they aren't as good a fit as those two. Anyway, let's move on.
The next question is from @all_NBA_now. And he asks, do y'all think letting Julius go and trying to get DeAndre Jordan will be a good idea? Oh, Trevor, you're going to have some feelings about this one. Go for it.
No, that is not a good idea. My goodness, no. DeAndre Jordan. Hey, nothing against DeAndre Jordan. He's a good player. I like what he does out on the floor. Obviously, he has some spectacular blocks. I would be excited to see Lonzo throwing lobs to DeAndre Jordan. I mean, that would be a lot of fun. But there's a lot going against DeAndre Jordan. He's going to be 30 by the time the next NBA season starts. He is a big man who relies on his athleticism a lot. That's not a good fit. I also don't like getting him at the expense of Julius Randle, although I guess if you're saying that you're letting Julius Randle go in order to sign DeAndre Jordan, we would have to assume that means that they landed LeBron James, because that's the only way. LeBron James plus some other pieces, that's really the only way they have to let Julius Randle go. I guess they would be maxing DeAndre Jordan, which that makes me feel a little queasy. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Overall, if I had to pick between the two, 23-year-old Julius Randle versus 30-year-old DeAndre Jordan on this Lakers team, a young team that's up and coming, give me Julius Randle any day, and that's not just because I'm a resident of Randall Island. That's just because that's basketball. That makes sense. You want a guy who can grow with the team. I'm assuming you're with me, or would you be in DeAndre Jordan's corner on this one?
Oh, no, Trevor. I 150 billion trillion % agree with you. I really like Julius Randle, and I definitely do not want to let him go just to get DeAndre Jordan. And like you said, nothing against DeAndre Jordan. He's a great guy. He's a great player. But I just don't want to spend all of our money on a center unless it's a guy who's more like a DeMarcus Cousins, like that stretch five or something. As good as a player as DeAndre Jordan is, I just think with our system, he does not really fit in that well, and I just do not think he's as good for the price that he's going to be asking. So definitely not.
All right, so a solid no from the Lakers Nation podcast on parting with Julius in order to sign DeAndre Jordan. We're going to take a quick break to talk about Hims. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by age 35, which is a concern for me because I just hit my 36th birthday. The thing is, by the time you start noticing hair loss, it's already too late. It's way easier just to keep the hair you have than try to replace hair that you've lost. So if your hairline is slowly starting to move backwards, you're getting bald spots, things like that, you want to do something about it ASAP. I mean, how will you feel a year from now if it's business as usual on top of your head because you did something now and prevented hair loss? I mean, do you want a bald spot to pop up or do you want to do something about it first? Do you want your hairline to recede or do you want to do something about it first? Same thing with fitness, right? I mean, you want to keep yourself in shape rather than let yourself get out of shape and then have to try to fight that uphill battle to get back into shape. So one of our solutions that we found is forhims.com, which is a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and sexual wellness for men. Thanks to science, baldness is now optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to name brand prescriptions and help you keep your hair. No snake oil pills or gas station over-the-counter supplements. Prescription solutions backed by science. There's no waiting room, no awkward doctor's visits. You can save hours. Just go to forhims.com. It is super easy. You answer a few quick questions. The doctor will review it and prescribe you, and products are shipped directly to your door. You don't even have to leave your house. So order now. My listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, right now while supplies last. See their website for details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or pharmacy. In order to get started, go to forhims.com/Lakers. forhims.com/Lakers. forhims/Lakers. The next question came from Tanner McGuire, and this is his Twitter handle is @BigPharmaBrand. And he said, is there any chance at all Tyler Ennis could return given his decent-ish play the past few games? Oh, Hannah, what do you think about this one?
Alrighty, Trevor. I think there's definitely a possibility he could return. Being, that first guy off the bench, if anything happens to Lonzo, I really hope that's not the case. I hope maybe he's, if he does return, he's like the second or third option, just kind of one of the guys that we have. I like Tyler Ennis, but I'm definitely not putting all of my chips in his basket. And especially, with Lonzo being injured a lot this season, and I would like to think hopefully next season he's not going to have these injuries. But again, you just never know. Having Tyler Ennis be that first choice off the bench is just not what I want to see. So it's definitely a possibility he can return, but we've got to be able to sign some backup point guard. Possibly if we bring back Isaiah Thomas, who knows? But that's been one of the Lakers' biggest weaknesses this whole season, is just not having that second string point guard. So I don't know. I think it's possible he comes back, but I really hope that if he does come back, that he is more that third option, not the first guy off the bench.
And I am going to say a big no to Tyler Ennis for next season. And here's my reasoning. I don't think he's even the third string point guard. I think he's the fifth string point guard. Okay, if you add him up, right? Lonzo Ball, if everybody's healthy, Lonzo's your starter. Isaiah Thomas is your backup point guard, right? Then you got to remember that Brandon Ingram played minutes at point guard. I would turn to Brandon Ingram as my backup point guard before anybody else, okay, after Isaiah Thomas. And then you've got who am I forgetting? Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso's got to be your fourth string point guard. And then that leaves you with Tyler Ennis. So I definitely would not bring back Tyler Ennis as the team's backup point guard. I think you got to find somebody else. If you can bring back Isaiah Thomas, great. Okay, if you can get him on a 1-year deal. We kind of fell into this trap last year. Last year, Tyler Ennis was the guy who had a few big games down the stretch. He beat the Spurs in one game, kind of like he did this year, where he blew up and had this big game against the Spurs. The Lakers went on a 5-game winning streak when everybody was pulling their hair out over lottery odds and all that stuff. And the Lakers kind of just fell back to Tyler Ennis when they couldn't land a few different guys in free agency this year. We know they went after Derrick Rose and George Hill and guys like that. Didn't get them. And so then they turned to Tyler Ennis. I think next year you can't roll with Tyler Ennis as your backup point guard. You need something better in there, particularly with Lonzo out there, because you could actually run Lonzo as the 2. So you would ideally want to have somebody out there who can be a backup one, but could also potentially be more of like a starting one that can take on some more minutes. So I'm going to vote no on Tyler Ennis coming back next season. And I think a lot of people on basketball Twitter would agree with me on that one.
I was just trying to be nice. I mean, in a perfect world, I don't want him back either, but it's a possibility, and I'm trying to be nice. But
Hannah, you're too nice.
I agree with you. He's definitely not my first, second, third, fourth, maybe not even my 5th option, but whatever.
I might even say Julius Randle is the team's 5th point guard.
Right? Oh my God. I'm the team's 5th point guard before Tyler Ennis.
He does some good things out there. He's had some big games, but overall, I don't think he's the way to go. Nothing against Tyler Ennis, nothing personal, good guy, but yeah, I don't think he's the solution for the Lakers there. There are millions of things demanding your time, and contact lenses shouldn't be one of them. That's why we're excited about a great new company called Simple Contacts that is making the process of renewing your prescription and buying contacts, well, simple. Simple Contacts is the most convenient way to get your contact lens prescription renewed and stock up on your brand of contact lenses. Get this, instead of taking time off and spending hours on the doctor just to renew your prescription, you can now do it online in under 5 minutes. This is vision care for the 21st century. Here's how it works. Take a quick self-guided vision test from your phone or computer. It's reviewed by a licensed doctor in 24 hours. You receive a renewed prescription and reorder your brand of contacts. If you have an unexpired prescription, you can use them too. Just upload a photo of it or your doctor's info and order your lenses in minutes for a great price. They do all the hard work for you. Buying more contacts has never been easier, and why should it be hard in the first place, right? This is why Simple Contacts was created. Simple Contacts offers every brand of lenses, and their prices are unbeatable. Plus, the prescription is just $20. Compare that with an annual appointment, which can be up to $200 without insurance. Shipping is free, and best of all, my listeners get $30 off their first Simple Contacts order. To save $30 on your lenses, just go to simplecontacts.com/LakersNation or enter the code LakersNation at checkout. I want to mention that this isn't a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam. You still need those occasionally, but it is the most convenient way to renew a prescription and reorder your contacts. Again, check out Simple Contacts and get $30 off by going to simplecontacts.com/LakersNation or just enter the code LakersNation at checkout. Save yourself time, money, and a headache with Simple Contacts. All right, final question of the day. Hannah, why don't you kick us off with that one?
Okay. This is from @Kings of Rams Lake. I think we have a Rams and a Laker fan, maybe?
And an LA Kings fan. I'm hoping that's not Sacramento Kings.
Oh, yeah. No. Kings, Rams, and Laker fan. Cool. Okay, so he asked if Kawhi, LeBron, and Paul George are available and you can only have 2, which 2 do you want?
Oh, man. I mean, okay, first of all, like what universe are you living in where you get to pick from Kawhi, LeBron, and Paul George? Like, aren't you just thankful that you get to pick 2 of those guys? I mean, that would be amazing. I'm assuming if it's Kawhi, that means you have to trade for him because LeBron and Paul George are available this summer, and Kawhi wouldn't be a free agent until the summer of 2019. So you're assuming you have to trade something for him. Gosh, that's tough. I guess, and Kawhi's got the injury factor too. We don't know what's going on there. So being that they're healthy and being that they'd be available this summer without having to trade for them, I guess I would go LeBron and Paul George because I don't know if you can tell Paul George, hey, come sign, and then maybe we'll get Kawhi in the summer of 2019, or same thing with LeBron. I don't know if you get him by saying, hey, maybe we'll get Kawhi later, but I guess I'll go LeBron and Paul George, but I mean, I like Kawhi Leonard a lot. I like his fit on the team. I like his fit on just about any team. If he's healthy, he's an absolute monster. So that's a real tough one. But yeah, I guess I'll go LeBron and Paul George, but I don't feel like super confident in that one because all three are great players.
Okay, yeah. I agree with you in that sense. Everything you just said, I guess I would pick LeBron and Paul George or whatever. But if I have my rose-colored glasses on, and if all of these guys are available, then I pick Kawhi and Paul George, obviously. I mean, I still might even pick them regardless because I just would love a team of Kawhi and Paul George. I just think those are two great players. I think they would fit really well. Obviously, LeBron James is probably the best player in the world right now, but I still am just a little tentative to have him come on this team. I don't know if it would be – it sounds so dumb because it would be amazing to have LeBron James on our team, but I still just really question it because I just feel like whenever LeBron James is on a team, it's all LeBron James, and I feel like a lot of these young guys are going to get put on the back burner, which I really don't want to see that. But I can understand what you're saying, and it is a really tough question. But if I have my rose-colored glasses on and there's all three of them and I could just pick two, I'm picking Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah, I suppose if you put all three in front of me and you said no salary cap, no trades, nothing, just pick two of them and they magically put on a Lakers jersey and they're going to wear it for the next 10 years, which two would you want? I'd probably go with Kawhi and Paul George too. Maybe I threw in a little bit too much of reality into a clearly a fictional question here, but yeah, I mean, gosh, wouldn't it be great to be Magic Johnson and have that option?
I know. What a tough life to have to pick between Kawhi, LeBron, and Paul George. You can only have two of those three. Oh, the torture.
Let's hope it happens. Well, hey, you know what? Let's wrap things up here. The Lakers are going to finish up their season. They've got they play Tuesday and Wednesday. On Tuesday, they're going to take on the Houston Rockets. And then Wednesday, they finish up their season with a game against the Los Angeles Clippers. We don't know who's going to be playing, whether Lonzo or Ingram or Kuzma will be available. Isaiah Thomas is a definite no because he had hip surgery. So I still say tune in for these final few games, see what the Lakers have, see what Julius Randle does in his final few games before he hits restricted free agency, and maybe see a little bit of Zubats and some Thomas Bryant. And hopefully, I'm hoping the Lakers win one of the two. Win one of the two, and I can go into the offseason happy. What do you say about that, Hannah?
I would love it if they can win one of the two. My new little motto is no Kuzma, no way. But maybe he'll come back. I don't know. I hope they're able to win one, but I'm not sure that's going to be possible. But you know what? You just never know.
Keep my fingers crossed and hoping that Houston decides to rest their stars. That's what I'm banking on here. Houston decides to rest some players. The Clippers, I don't think they're going to be in the playoff hunt. So looks like they're falling out of that. But in any event, that's going to wrap up the season, and we'll be talking about that. Now, next week's show, we'll break down everything and wrap up the entire season. We'll hand out some grades. I know there were a few of you that were asking us questions about how we would grade the season. We'll do that in next week's show to kind of just put a final stamp on the 2017-2018 season for the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, Hannah, thanks so much for coming on and joining me on the show. Always a good time.
Of course, I always love coming on and talking all things Lakers with you guys. And thank you all so much again for sending your questions. These were really good questions tonight.
Yes, definitely. Always great to get the fan questions and fan engagement here on the Lakers Nation podcast. Before we wrap up, guys, don't forget to head over to LakersNation.com. They're your one-stop shop for all things Lakers. And, of course, support the companies that are supporting us. And tonight's show is sponsored by Hims, eHarmony, and, of course, Simple Contacts. Make sure you guys go check them out and then use our promo codes that we listed earlier in the show. That's going to do it for us today. You can find Hannah on Twitter at Hannah_Kulik, and you can find me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. We'll be back next week with another show to wrap up the season. Don't forget to head over to iTunes and rate, review, and subscribe to our show. See ya.